Hi, thanks for joining me today. We're going to be making my cast iron skillet meatloaf. It's super easy and it's made with ground turkey. So if you don't happen to have cast iron cookware or you haven't yet discovered the joys of cast iron cooking, by all means you can use a regular loaf tin. It's exactly the same times, temperature and recipe. So we'll put that to one side because I'm obviously using my cast iron, but just bear it in mind. Here's everything you're going to need to make this easy cast iron skillet meatloaf. You're going to need 2 pounds of ground turkey, 1 pound of ground turkey breast, 1 pound of dark meat. You would need 1 egg, Dijon mustard, coconut aminos. You need black pepper, thyme, sage, Himalayan pink sea salt, onion powder, garlic powder, and some paprika. And you need 4 celery stalks and a green pepper. So meat into the bowl, and same goes for the dark meat. Get it all in there. And now we're going to chop our 4 sticks of celery into small pieces, and the same with the green pepper. Chop up your pieces of celery nice and small. I like to make 3 sections of each one and then cut that into tiny little pieces. So do that with all of them, and then we're going to put it in with our meat. Okay, so chopping the last of the celery now, and then we can pop that into the bowl and take care of the green pepper. And you can see the celery is pretty small, and that's how we want it, and the same thing with the green pepper. Okay, so now put all the celery into the bowl with the meat. Halve your green pepper, take out the seeds, and then we'll chop that up small and put that in with the celery and the meat. So while we're still chopping, I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about cast iron cookware in case you're not familiar with it. In addition to putting more iron into your food that you eat, it also is the original and natural non-stick cookware. So that's a really plus, as well as the fact that it goes from stovetop to oven safely, or you can cook a whole meal in the oven with it. I've made cakes in it as well as savory dishes like I'm going to do with this. Or you can make a frittata and finish it off in the oven. Same with a steak. And it makes your food, I can't even begin to tell you. The flavor, eggs, everything. It just has the most amazing flavor. So that's your cast iron cookware 101 here, and we're finished with our green pepper. So it's all going to go in with the celery and the meat, and then we're going to put in our herbs and spices. Herb and spice time. So now, first of all, let's put in half a teaspoon of black pepper. Next goes the onion powder. We're going to put in 1 teaspoon of onion powder, but it's going to be a heap teaspoon. Next is the garlic powder, and we're going to put in again 1 heap teaspoon of the garlic powder. Next thing we're going to put in is thyme, and we need a teaspoon of that. This isn't going to fit in there, so we'll do 2 halves. There's no need to be like super precise on the thyme and the sage. And with the sage, we're going to put in half a teaspoon. Half teaspoon of sage. Next is the paprika, and we'll put in half a teaspoon of that, which is probably about all I have left. Shows you how often I use it. Next up is the pink Himalayan sea salt, and we need half a teaspoon of that for me. Some people like it saltier. I am one of these people who doesn't, and later on when we put the glaze on, you'll see why we don't really need too much salt. The coconut aminos, we put in 2 tablespoons of that, and that also provides a little bit of saltiness. So again, you don't want to go too wild with the salt. 2 tablespoons of that, and oops, there goes my top. And we're going to put in, I've already beaten my 1 egg, and we're going to put that in now. Just chuck that in, and then give everything a good mix. Make sure it's all mixed together really, really well. And then we're going to put it into our cast iron skillet or loaf tin. It's perfectly mixed and ready to go into the cast iron skillet now, or into your loaf tin. If you are using a loaf tin, just lightly grease it all around, or you can line it with parchment paper. If you're using your cast iron skillet, no need. Mine has been well seasoned for a long, long time now, and so it needs nothing further. So we're just going to put the meat straight into the cast iron skillet without the need for any further oil or anything. And then we'll just press it all down and make it nice and neat, ready to go in the oven. Okay, so just finish neatening that off, press it all the way in, make sure it's uniform all the way around. And we're going to put that into our preheated oven, which is on 375. For 50 minutes. Then we're going to take it out and put the glaze on. So the timer's on and we've got 50 minutes. We're just going to make the glaze really quickly so that when that comes out after 50 minutes, we put the glaze on, pop it back in for another 10 minutes to finish off cooking. So it's 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and it's 1 tablespoon of coconut aminos. And you just mix that together, and it makes kind of a thick liquid. It's a nice glaze. It really tastes great. Traditional meatloaf, as we know, has a honey and tomato sauce glaze. We don't want to do that, but this is absolutely fantastic. You're really going to enjoy this with your turkey meatloaf. Meatloaf straight out of the oven at 50 minutes. It looks absolutely fantastic. But first of all, before we put the glaze on, let's just check the temperature. It should read 165 degrees for poultry. So we'll just give that a moment, and once it hits its mark, which it will, but best to be careful, especially with poultry, then we're going to put the glaze on. Oh, it looks beautiful already, but now we'll put the glaze on and then pop it back in the oven. Okay, just spoon this all over it and kind of paint it over. Make sure you get to the edges. Spoon the glaze all over it, paint it, make sure it gets to all the edges, and then we'll put it right back in. There we go. And that's going back in for 10 minutes exactly. There, the glaze is all on there now, and we'll put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Wow, look at the gorgeous color on that meatloaf. Okay, so here's a finished piece, and this is my piece for dinner. Thanks for watching. I had a great time. I hope you enjoyed the meatloaf, and if you're making it for a large family or a bunch of people, it makes 6 to 8 portions. If you need to keep some for another time and you're not going to eat it within, let's say, 3-4 days, it freezes really well. So just cut it into individual portions, put it in a sandwich bag and pop it in the freezer. And I like to serve mine with sweet potato mash or cauliflower mash and a nice homemade gravy. But whatever you serve it with, enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.
If you like this video, click like. If you really like it, click subscribe.